One of the things, I have people come up to me all the time and ask, how do I go out and just catch a fish? I just want to go out and catch a 1 pound, a 3 pound channel cat or blue cat or whatever. I'd like to catch a big fish, but it's not that high in my priority. I just want to go catch a fish. That's where we're going to start off. So if we got guys here that's got a lot of experience, we will get to your questions as we go along. Right now, first of all, this is a magazine article that came out in the Fisherman. It just came out about a week ago, currently on the shelves right now. It's pertaining to how to catch fish right now at ice out. This is one of the best times of the year to go catch fish, and it doesn't matter if it's little fish or big fish. We've caught fish up in the 50, 60, 70 pound range in 2 to 3 feet of water. We catch a lot of 1 to 3 pound fish in 2 to 3 feet of water. But the key to all this, whether it be lakes or ponds or reservoirs, it's shallow water. Take it to the bank. It's shallow water. That article is going to tell you over and over, it's shallow water for several reasons. I run a guide service. We fish on Lake of the Ozarks, Truman, Milford, kind of all over. So I got people, they want to go out, they just want to catch a lot of fish. It's a numbers game. Last year, and that bite usually starts about the end of February, the last week of February. So we go down, one of the examples is going to be on Lake of the Ozarks. We go down there, and this time of year, the main river channel, it's going to be 38 to 40 degrees. It's going to be cold. When you get out of that river channel, you don't have to have a boat to do all this. You can do all of this, everything I'm talking about, from the bank, because we're targeting shallow water with all these kind of baits and stuff that we're going to get to here in just a second. You get out of that main river channel, which is 38 to 40 degrees, and you go back up in the upper end of these coves, you will see up to a 30-degree water temperature difference. Last year, that was the most I ever seen, was actually 32-degree difference from the main channel to the back end of some of these coves. Well, if you're a cold-blooded animal, why do you want to be out there and it's 38 or 40 degrees when it's 60 degrees in the back of these coves? 2 or 3 things going on. First of all the bait, all the shad, which is the primary forage base for channel cat, blue cat, flathead, all of them, they go back there because it's warm. All the channel cat, blue cats, they go back in that shallow water because it's warm also. And their food base is back there. So we got food, we got bait, everything back there in that shallow water. Once we get back in there, we fan cast, we keep it really simple. There's all kinds of different techniques and stuff that you can use. One of the very first things I would recommend everybody here to do, we have a lot of circle hooks in this store, bunch of different brands, Gamakatsu, Daiichi, King Catfish, Cabela's King Cat. That kind of hook is the kind of hook that you want to use for this kind of fishing. The fish comes in, they're designed to actually catch the fish. You don't have to do anything. You put that on there, you use some of this bait that's on the shelf. It can be this, it can be shad that you've caught, it can be any of the dip baits, and we'll get into some of the dip baits here in a minute. That fish comes in, and when he rolls off with that bait, he loads that pole up, and it's designed to just turn and set in the corner of that fish's mouth. We actually I done a study with Fishermen a few years ago. A standard hook is what they call a J hook, just like that. They told me one of us fish a J hook, one of you fish a circle hook all year. Keep track of your hook percentages. And we're pretty good at setting a hook, okay? Done it my whole life. Our average, and the national average on somebody that sets a hook that way, is 73%. At the end of the year, the circle hook was at 93% hook ratio. That right there, A, wins you tournaments. B, if you're just out there pleasure fishing, having fun, will catch you 20% more fish. Okay, to kind of get back onto some of the basics of the fishing, once you have all your tackle and everything that you're ready to go, again, it's a shallow water bite. You go to the back of these coves, you set up, and you want to fan cast around the boat. You want to be quiet because you're setting in shallow water and the fish are easily spooked. So you want to throw as far away from the boat as you can possibly throw. You do not have to have fancy rigs for any of this. What we do when we're doing this, and it actually highlights that in this magazine article, we just slide a regular egg sinker on the line, let it slide all the way down to the hook. No swivel, no nothing. You throw it in, and that fish will come in and eat that bait right there. I do want to back up here a little bit and tell everybody why these fish, besides the water temperature, are up shallow this time of year. We just came through a terrible winter, a lot of cold water. All this bait, and our primary bait source is gizzard shad in this area. When we start getting a lot of cold water, we get stress on the shad, and so a portion of it dies off. When it dies off, a lot of it will float out that gets caught in the ice. It may stay frozen there all winter. When we start thawing out like we're doing right now at ice out, a lot of that bait falls and comes out of that ice. It's set there all winter long, so it's fermented and stuff. And that's another reason for your dip baits and some of the prepared shad that they have on the shelves. That's what they're feeding on. But when that falls out of that ice like it does, it blows into a bank. Our primary wind this time of year, I haven't been outside today, but I know it's supposed to get 70 degrees. Almost guarantee you before I walk outside, that wind's coming out of the south, probably 30 miles an hour. Okay, if the wind's coming out of the south at 30 miles an hour and there's dead bait floating on top of the water, where does it go? It goes to the north side of the lake. So you just eliminated the whole south side of the lake. Where you want to key your presentation this time of year at ice out is the north side of the lake. 2 reasons. That's where the bait is, number 1. Number 2, that water on the north side of the lake is warmer than it is on the south side of the lake. During the day, as the sun heats up the top of the water and it's blowing all the waves and stuff to the north, it's pushing that warm water to the north side of the lake. That's where the bait is, that's where the fish is, and utilizing just these simple techniques and some of this bait, some of these rod and reels that's on the shelves, you can go catch fish. Other things that I've neglected to tell you, the primary line that I like to use is a braided line. We've got all kinds of different braided line on the shelves, Power Pro, and the list goes on and on. All of them are good. I've used several different ones. I've yet to find one that I don't like. The reason I prefer to use the braided line is when we're using this circle hook, like I was talking about, when that fish hooks himself, we'll sit there and we've got that pole and a rod holder like this, and when that fish comes in and bites, he loads that pole like that. Okay, when he starts loading that pole, this hook turns around in his mouth and hooks him in the corner of the mouth. Before that can happen, he's got to take all the bend out of the pole, the stretch out of the line, and then he's hooked. When you're using a monofilament line, the monofilament's also got a stretch in it. So then he's pulling the stretch out of the line, the bend out of the pole before he's hooked. With a good quality braid, you eliminate that stretch on the monofilament. That's why I like to use the braided line. The other thing that I like to do on my leaders, when I do fish a leader, and I learned this the hard way. A lot of the stuff that I've learned the hard way over the years. When I do use a leader, I use a Cabela's fluorocarbon leader material. The reason I went to that, I'd always fished a monofilament leader. If you get broke off on a big fish or even a small fish, if he wraps you around a tree stump or a rock or whatever, that's the weak link in the whole system is that monofilament leader. They'll start rubbing it on a tree or rock or whatever, that's where they break you off. Any TV show that you go home and turn on this afternoon, if they're deep sea fishing, as long as it's not for sharks or some toothy critters, you watch them, they're using fluorocarbon. The fluorocarbon is super abrasion resistant. So we went to, again, the Cabela's brand fluorocarbon. As soon as we went to that, we eliminated our broken leaders. It will stop it dead in its tracks right now. So that's a big thing you need to remember when you're putting together an outfit and stuff, is fluorocarbon. This particular rig right here, this is on a 3-way swivel, and it's got a dropper. This is just a 20-pound Cabela's monofilament. When I'm using a monofilament like this, or when I'm using a dropper, it will be a straight monofilament. The reason I want to use that way, the object of this, especially when you're fishing around a lot of rocks and debris, this goes down and it'll get caught in the rocks. When the fish bites, A or B, when you get ready to reel in, you break this off. You've still got all your hooks and everything else. It's already all put together for you. That presentation. This has helped us target especially big fish, not just your small fish. Again, you don't have to do that, but it's an aid to allow you to catch more fish. Any questions to this point? The other thing I like to do when I go out to drift like this, again, catfishing can be a simple sport. You don't have to make it hard. I prefer to go out, throw my drift sock in, and actually run the trolling motor. That way I can take the boat where I want to take it. It's under control at all times, so I can follow my contour lines or stay on top of a river channel or anything like that. That way I'm controlling where I'm fishing. One of the things I want to talk about, I have people ask me all the time, if I was to go to a new body of water, where do I begin or how do I figure out where I'm going to fish? And this pertains to lakes, farm ponds, reservoirs, rivers, or whatever. One of the biggest aids that you can have today is just by going to the internet, going to Google Earth. You can zoom in on any body of water you want to in the United States. So before you leave your house, A, you know where the boat ramps are. B, you know where all the outside bends on the river section is that you're going to fish, so on and so forth. And another one of your big aids is with the GPS and the Navionics hot maps. You can find all the underwater structure and all that kind of stuff. So I always do my homework before I go someplace like that. I've taught a lot of people over the years how to catch big fish and just how to catch fish, period. Myself and my family, we love to eat fish, but I'm a big proponent of catch and release on the big fish. All of our big fish like this, we take pictures and we turn them loose. So, treat the resource with respect. Turn these big fish loose so they'll grow up and somebody else can catch them. The primary knot I use is a Palomar, super easy to tie. I'd recommend anybody just get online, type in Palomar, it'll pop up. That's the easiest knot to tie. The other thing I want to touch on, since you're talking about knots, on my hooks, and again, you can use the Palomar knot on these. I prefer to use a snell knot on my hooks. It does a couple things. When you're fishing, this is another important fact when you're picking out circle hooks. You can get these circle hooks that's got a downturned eye, or you can get one with a straight shank. This one has a straight shank. I prefer all my circle hooks to have a straight shank, because when you tie that snell on there and it's coming through the front side of that hook, it's actually cocking that hook forward. So you're basically doing what we call loading the hook. If you tie that same knot or a Palomar knot on a downturned circle hook, that hook's actually setting here back there like that instead of forward like it is there. What that does, this hook tilted forward gives you about a 2 to 3% better odds of hooking that fish than you do the other way. It's not a big difference, but there is a difference. And that's when you're in a tournament, or even if you're just out pleasure fishing, you want to put all the odds in your favor that you possibly can, and that's just a real simple thing that you can do. Well, I appreciate everybody coming. If you have any questions after we're done here, come up and look at any of this stuff, and I'd be more than glad to try to help you if I can. Thank you.